What's up, Hobby Maniacs? Rob Baer here today with a little walkthrough gameplay tutorial on the brand new Games Workshop board game, The Lost Patrol, Death in the Jungle. We're going to take a closer look at the game and perhaps a couple of things we can do to maybe, make it a little bit more fun for both players and kind of get that grimdark feel, kind of keep that against all odds kind of feel at the same time. Spiky bits. Make sure you stay in the trenches by becoming a supporter over on Patreon and also scoring yourself some free miniature swag in the process. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Check out our site, spikybits.com, for all the hot hobby tutorials, news, rumors on all your favorite hobby topics. And head on over to thelongwar.net. That's the home of the battle reports for exclusive content, early access videos, and more. Become a veteran of the Long War today. So this game is literally the easiest thing in the history of ever to play. Like, if you're used to playing 40K, you will pick this up. You'll pick this game up in a breeze. Like, literally, I played it earlier today. And I was like, my buddy was waiting on a game of Star Wars. And I was like, hey, you want to play this game real quick? He's like, yeah, how quick is it? And I was like, you have time. And he's like, all right, cool, yeah, let's play. So from opening the box and punching the cards out, this is literally how quick it takes to play. You need the two tiles right here, the dropship tile and the clearing tile. That's all you need basically right off the bat. And then you just kind of shuffle the tiles up. I've done this like a million times already. No exaggeration, totally literal. And that's pretty much it. I mean, skim through the rules, but you really don't need that because I am going to show you how to play it. It's literally that easy. So first off, you're going to start right here with this clearing tile. Shuffle up all 29 of the other tiles right here. We're going to do it just kind of a little riffle shuffle kind of thing right here. Super easy. Then you're going to place that right next to it. And what happens is that the Tyranid player, or the Gene Stealer player, basically gets to set the clearing because all the scouts we're going to place right in here, and then they're going to get to see everything around it. So literally, you pick an edge because there is a little bit of attack to it. Like if the Gene Stealer player could really kind of set the board against the scouts. So you say, so we'll say right here, okay, there it is. And like we saw in last week's White Dwarf gameplay tutorial, or walkthrough of the White Dwarf, basically you can't see anything else line of sight here. So you're done revealing on that side. Over here, we will twist this to this because you can't automatically block. You always have to try to not block. Right here, we're going to keep revealing right here because that's a straight and you can see straight down it. And we're going to come to our curve and stop. Over here, looks like the trail is curving and it may get blocked. Yep, it's going to get blocked right here. Okay, so it got blocked right there, and there's nothing you can do about that. Basically, that's a dead space. But it's good for the Space Marine players because basically now they have something to work off of. Right here, the line of sight continues to this tile. No big deal. It ends right there. And right here, we are going to curve it. We'll say curve it this way in an attempt. Well, no. We'll curve it this way to try to lock it out. So basically, that is setting the board, and then the Space Marine player comes along and puts all his scouts right here in the middle. Now, you can play with whatever weapons you want. You just have to notate a sergeant and a heavy weapon guy, which normally is the heavy bolter, but you know what? I got a rocket launcher painted up, so we're going to play with him. And then 4 other scouts with bolt pistol close combat weapon. The sergeant is the Cyclops-looking dude with the little visor right there, so he is going to be the one that gets it done. So for the first turn, there's actually a lot of strategy to it because if you played the way the game was intended out of the box, I'll be honest with you, it's like playing a Nintendo game in the 80s. Like, it is brutally difficult. There's no saving, there's no restarts, there's no pause in the game. There's just like, yo, try to get through it. And I'll be honest with you, maybe it's just me, but I have not beat the game yet on the normal mode, which is hard. Or insane mode, if you're used to Call of Duty, I suppose. It's ridiculously hard, but it's kind of rewarding. It gives you lots of choices and doing lots of thinking, a lot of maneuvering, probably more so than you do in 40K itself. So it's kind of rewarding in that regard, I feel like. It is a very tactful game, of course. So conventional wisdom says you want to keep your Marines, your scouts, grouped together in twos because they don't get any minuses to that. And if you have the sergeant in there, you actually get a plus. So he's +1 to his attacks in close combat. If you have Overwatch from the heavy weapon guy, which means he can see into the space of somebody being assaulted by a Gene Stealer, then you get another +1. So it makes it a little bit more on the scout side, but it's still pretty difficult to drop the Gene Stealers, to be quite honest. But that's okay. We'll show you how it goes. So say I'm the Space Marine player. I'm going to try to unlock some tiles here. Now, I don't have a lot of good options, to be quite honest, because if I want to Overwatch right here, I can't see down here. I can't see down here. I can see here. This space, there's some distance, and there's some distance here. There isn't any distance here. And there isn't any distance here. So if I leave the heavy weapon team hanging back, or the heavy weapon guy hanging back, chances are Gene Stealers are going to come out and they could pounce him directly, because the fair fight would be to go for him and, you know, take out the Overwatch of the team, or the unfair fight, depending on how you want to say, instead of squaring up against the scouts. But just to kind of show you how the game's played right off the bat, there's one action movement. Each of these guys gets to move or shoot in any combination they're in, and they have 2 action points. So that is 1 action point of them both moving. 1 action point, 1 action point. This is both open ground. You can see right here, this tangleweed right here. It's easy to get into, no restriction, but to get out of it, you have to roll a 4, 5, or 6 on a D6. So it's a little bit of a distraction that can bog the scouts down. Now here you can see he does have Overwatch on both of those guys. So when the Tyranids reveal a tile, if they try to pounce there, they can. But if the smart thing to do is to spawn Gene Stealers here and take him out, because he's no match for 3 Gene Stealers. So it's a little brutal in that regard, because I wasn't able to set it up. Now maybe we could go right here, and then they wouldn't actually be able to get to him, which we could do, and he could Overwatch up in this direction. These guys are going to fend for themselves in that regard. So maybe we'll do that. We'll switch the Sergeant out, because we know that they're going to come in here. So either way, it's a +1 to the attack right here. So we'll go with that and see what happens. So on the Gene Stealer turn, you remove tiles, because you're considered line of sight from any 2 squares that a guy could be. So right now it really doesn't matter, but as you progress and as you guys spread out, tiles might disappear, Gene Stealers might disappear, scouts may disappear. If the scouts disappear, then it's a Marine player's choice of which group of scouts disappears. So you want to keep that in mind. And then before you deploy the Tyranids and they get their action points, you're going to reveal tiles. I'm going to try to curve this back around to choke it off. That's what a Tyranid player would do. This is an open tile here, 2-way crossroads, which looks to be just off camera right there, but no big deal. Don't know if we're going to make it that far, to be quite honest. And then over here, this tile is, we're going to curve it back around and try to choke it off. If you try to make everything insular and kind of spherical, so to speak, or in a spiral manner, it's a little bit harder for the Marine players to spread out and make the forest disappear, because there always seems to be something that's interconnected. So if you're a Gene Stealer player, that's a good idea, is to try to keep it from sprawling out, try to keep it nice and compacted into a kill box. Now the Gene Stealers get 3 action points, which, you know, I think it's a good mechanic in and of itself, but it really lends to almost always the same thing happening turn on the very first turn. So your action points are, you can spawn Gene Stealers, you can drop an infestation marker, which is a point that you can spawn Gene Stealers off of, because right now you can only spawn at the ends of the trails that aren't closed off. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spots I could spawn from. Or you can move. And a movement actually consists of, different from scouts, a movement is the Gene Stealer 3 Gene Stealers can move 1 space, or 1 Gene Stealer can move 2 spaces, or 1 Gene Stealer can move 3 spaces, or any combination therein, as long as you do not exceed 3 movements with, you know, whatever number of models you're trying to do. I guess maximum of 3, right? So there's a little bit of a tweak that I feel we can do, and we'll get back to that. But so going from there, pretty much the first turn is always the same thing. If you spread your scouts out and try to reveal more terrain, the Gene Stealers are just going to pounce on them. And worse yet, 2 Gene Stealers and 1 Gene Stealer could go after almost 2 groups of scouts. Now, you almost need the full 3 to reveal and go after anything on this board right here, because you're almost guaranteed to take out what you go after, at least kill 1 and force 1 back. So now I feel like I want to keep this a little bit compacted, and I feel like over here, I kind of know the scouts are going to go this way because they're not going to get tangled up in this weeds here. So I'm going to reveal them over here, and they basically come in on this tile right here, and they're like, hey, rawr, All right, good to go. Well, guess what? Now we're in assault phase, and guess who gets to assault? All these guys right here on these 2 scouts. There's no Overwatch. It's going to be pretty brutal. So each one of these has a combat value of 2. The scouts get 1 die roll in the combat here. Okay, well, that's interesting. They're not negative because they are, if you're 1 scout, you're -1. I'm actually +1 because I have my sergeant in here. So what I need to do, a 6 would actually kill a Tyranid as opposed to just ending in a draw and forcing me back, which is kind of what I want to do and keep the Marines in a kill with a Gene Stealer. I'm playing against myself here. Chances are I'm still not going to win with the Space Marines, right? So I feel like this is a good move. I'm trying to keep them in a kill box. I'm going to roll my die for my scouts. Now I got a 5. So I'm 5 + 1. I actually tie. It ends in a draw. I'm forced back. The Gene Stealers go into the space, so I don't lose a guy, but I am forced back, which is still a benefit to the Gene Stealers right here, because now I'm kind of they're starting to compact me into this box right here. So coming up on turn 2 for the Space Marines, normally what happens if you don't roll high, which a third of the time you don't roll high. So basically a third of the time, if you keep your scouts together in groups of 2, you are going to, or 2/3 of the time, you are going to lose a scout right off the bat. Like poof, turn 1, you lose a guy. And that, when you got this many tiles to get to the bottom, oh, I guess we should put it in there. So the bottom tile is supposed to be this right here, the dropship. When you got that many tiles to go through and you're losing a guy right off the first turn, that kind of puts you behind, you know, the attrition rate's pretty high on that. So this was actually a 1/3 of the time kind of scenario right here that doesn't normally happen, and I feel like it's a little overbearing. So Space Marine's turn, they can also shoot, but they need 6s to hit, very similar to Space Hulk. And this guy gets 2 shots with each action. These guys all get 1 shot each. So, but I also want to advance, you know, and I want to try to clear the forest, but I also want to try to have my Overwatch, and I want to try to, you know, basically cover each other. So it's going to be a little interesting here, I feel like. Again, if I move this guy up, he's going to get pounced on by Gene Stealers. These guys are in range to get straight up assaulted by the Gene Stealers. So they want to move at the very least, so they're not just like auto got by the Gene Stealers, right? This guy definitely wants to move because he needs to overwatch everybody, and he also needs to get in a position to cover both squads, I feel like, right now. So this squad's going to go here. They're going to reveal. He's going to move his 2 spaces so he can get overwatch on both. But chances are the Gene Stealers are going to come on at one of these 2 tiles because now they have to deal with them and try to deal with some of the stuff right here, strength in numbers and all that. So now Gene Stealer's turn. Everybody is considered to be able to move 2 spaces and see, so no tiles disappear. So we'll start right here. And we're going to curve it back inwards, which is a huge strength for the Gene Stealer player. That's another bonus for the Gene Stealer players. So that's not looking good over here for the home team unless we get a Y tile right here. Even a straight hurts. A curve is going to hurt. So pretty much we need a Y tile or a T tile right here, and that's or one of those little crazy curves because you have to connect it and at least you have to double back, and it's not as bad, but it's still pretty bad right there, I feel like. So the Marines. Oh, actually, the Marines had shots right here, so I'm going to take those shots because they only moved 1 space, and neither of them got a 6, so neither of them did any work right there, and he is out of line of sight. So the Tyranid player, back to the Tyranid player's action phase. We're going to spawn 3 new bad guys, and like I said, I would be stupid to try to not take out the heavy weapons team and create a pincer right here. Rawr. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So he's going to pounce on this guy because they can assault through the forest. Gene Stealers, each one of these combat value 2. He is, whatever he rolls on a d6, maximum of 6, he's -1 because he's by himself, and that is a huge problem. So he is slain, and they move into the space. So it's already not looking too good for the scouts right here. Scout turn, we need to make something happen here for sure. We need to get some distance between them and these Gene Stealers here, and maybe try to end the board and get out of range. And the only way to do that is going to be to get over here to avoid assault. They could also maybe avoid assault by getting into here. So moving into the tangle wire is free action, but unfortunately moving out of it is a little bit more difficult. Same here, I'm going to move into the tangle wire so we reveal some cards. So no shots, Now we're going to reveal. And, well, that's not what we wanted. Very, very bad. Those scouts, they're probably not going to make it to Bad Boys 3. Over here, that's the card we wanted up there, but poop happens. So there we go, which kind of puts them on a clock to get the Gene Stealers over here. Now we're going to spawn again 3 more action points. Remember, we only have 12 Gene Stealers in the box, so we're going to run out of Gene Stealers here in a minute if we keep spawning like this. But having dudes just out in the open really isn't that big of a deal. These guys they got nowhere to go, so they're pretty much, I don't care about them. I care about these guys. They're gonna become a problem really fast when they split the board and things start disappearing. So we're just gonna pop up right here at the end of the tile, and rawr, we're going after those guys. So here it is. They are +1 because of the sergeant. They need at least a 5. They really need a 6, because if they get a 6, they kill a guy and they don't move. But if they get a 5, they don't die, but they get pushed back to here. And that could be a definite big problem for them, because now they're going to get pounced on and it's not going to end well. So first off, they're going to roll, and that's a 2. That's not what we wanted. So we're going to lose the guy, not the sergeant. We're going to go into here. These guys are going to go into here. And already it is not looking good for the Space Marines on the jungle planet. Space Marine turn, they're up. We are very not going to end well. He's pretty much auto dead. Well, he could roll a 6 and draw, but he's still going to get pushed back. These guys over here have no choice but to try to shoot it out. They're going to have to step up, take some shots. Step up, also going to take some shots, and hopefully do some damage here. But we only got 3 shots coming in because they both move, so we're just going to take them all together. And that is no 6s. That is going to be some death in the jungle here in a minute. Gene Stealer turn. We have 2 spaces. We still have line of sight to everything technically on the board. Actually, when we were over here, we did not have line of sight. This one goes away from last turn. And Gene Stealers get 3 spawns. Oh, that's brutal. The last 3 Gene Stealers are going to go right here. And these scouts are not going to make it out of the jungle. So, Gene Stealer combat phase, we're attacking right here. We lose the guy and are pushed back. He's not going to make it, and these guys auto kill the sergeant. So, pretty brutal game right there. It's lasted, let me check the timer here. Including intro, we are at about 15 minutes, give or take. That was a brutal game. I think we can all agree right there. So, that's pretty much been my experience for most of these games. I haven't actually gotten down to reveal the last tile. Now maybe I'm doing it wrong, maybe I'm not splitting up as good as I should, but obviously you can see here when you can bring in 3 Tyranids, and even if you have 1 guy, it's just a war of attrition turn by turn. By turn 4 you're only going to have 1 guy left, because you're automatically going to pop stuff up unless you can kind of outrace the clock. It really comes down to your Overwatch, I feel like, with the heavy weapon team right there. Now, I have a couple of changes just to throw them out there to make the game a little bit more fun. And cause I think the game's great. I mean, it's just something you can pick up and put down really quick for a lot of people, and it's got the models and everything in it. But I'm sure there might be some folks out there that want a little bit more from it, want a little more out of it, maybe more of a solvable tactical challenge instead of just, hey, how long can I last? Which, make no mistakes, games are, they said this is a brutal game. It is literally called Death in the Jungle, mostly Space Marine death. But make no mistake, I don't feel like it was mislabeled in any regards. But to that point. I feel like if we made just a couple of simple changes to the game, and we're going to run through it again real quick. First off, I feel like Gene Stealer should only have 2 action points, because even if they pop up with 2 dudes next to 2 dudes for Space Marines, right, you'll kind of see what I'm talking about here in a minute. Also, for movement, I feel like their movement should be more reflected like the Space Marine movement. Like, each space is a action point. So if you restricted Gene Stealers to 1 action point to move, I feel like the game becomes... It's still a challenge, but maybe the intensity is, instead of like nightmare mode, we're down to like veteran mode, so to speak. So let's try that real quick. So let's reset the board. And man, it takes so long to reset the board here. Oh no, I gotta pick up my guy, and then I got the clearing tile, and then I got the dropship tile, and then I just take all of these and we We do it like they do in Vegas. This is a very thorough shuffle right here. We're just throwing it all in the middle, shuffling it all up, stacking it. I'm gonna do a little sandwich here with some of these tiles, and boom, we're done. Put that on the bottom like it's supposed to be. Maybe we'll get to it, maybe we won't. We're gonna reset with the board here, and just a quick reveal. Ooh, this is getting a little hectic. Ooh, no straights, man. This is death from every corner in this one. Woo! So we have one safe space. This is going to be really interesting. They normally they have a little bit of a tactical advantage here. So we're going to drop the dudes in the middle. It's spread out. So this guy could get here, I feel like, but he's still going to get got by the Tyranids themselves. And that is just bad mojo. But the Tyranids cannot come in here. So I feel like if we move the Sergeant to here, these guys to here, these guys to here, either way the Tyranids are going to be able to spawn and take him out. But since we're doing a 2 action point thing with the Tyranids, I feel like if we just babysit him and somebody goes after him, it's not quite as bad. Or we could put him right here with the Sergeant, and then that way it's +1 to the Sergeant, and then if he goes after any of these other guys, we will be able to cover him. We won't be able to cover him fire. So I feel like we just do it like that, because we're +1 from the Sergeant. If something tries to come in back here to get the easy grab, it's not an easy grab, and there we go. So Tyranid turn coming up. We're gonna reveal a tile here, which is good. Keep going, and it curves away. That buys them a little bit of time right there. They might even be safe now. Oh, that's going straight. That's way off camera. Yep, that's 3, another tile up. So it tees up there. So there's one more tile after that, and then over here, we are going to try to curve it in and on itself. And I think that's it, actually. That's all the play. So again, now we only have 2 action points. So we're definitely going to spawn 2 Tyranids. We could go here. We could go here, which will do absolutely nothing for us. We could go here, which is almost a fair fight. If we go here, it's almost a fair fight because of that. So now it's really coming down to die rolls. So we'll just go here just to kind of show you what I'm talking about. So normally the scout is -1. So against 2 Tyranids, they are at combat value 4 now because each one is 2. So -1. So if I roll a 5, it's a draw. I don't die, but I still have to move back into a space, which I could put them right here and try to start boxing them out. But because we're +1 to Overwatch, now it's back to on par, which I feel like a 50-50 chance is pretty good because you've already got the deck literally stacked against you with all this tangleweed. You know, you don't know if stuff's going to double back around. The element of surprise here, like they can always pop up just right next to you. And I feel like a 50-50 fight is better in that regard than just an overwhelming, you lose one guy, or a third of the time, if you don't have them in pairs of 2, you lose one guy. You're always going to lose the heavy weapon team if you leave him alone. So we got pretty fortunate right here, but again, sometimes that really happens. So Overwatch, or combat attack right there, well, there's nothing we can do about that one. Bye bye bad guy. He is dead, and they move into this space. When you roll 1s, turns out, depending on the game, that's always bad, right? So now it's the Space Marine player turn. Making it hard, because now these guys are kind of boxed in a little bit, but we're not a minus, and we're actually a +1. So now we're a 3 for a draw, a 4, 5, or 6 to kill a Gene Stealer. Over here, we could get a couple of shots, actually. So I feel like we could do some work on those Gene Stealers. If we're going to try to run the gamut and start splitting up the team, that could be a problem or a boon, depending on how you do it, for how many Tyranids are spawned. So I feel like in this regard, the guys really want to split up, because what's going to happen is with 2 action points, it makes it a little bit more fair. You start to see a little bit more of a spread. So we'll do that. We're going to move these guys down here, which may split up the team, may not. but I feel like they definitely need to stick together whatever they do. So now we're going to start losing some tiles. No, we're not, because we can see this and we can see all of that. We can see to here, so we can see all of that. So we're right on the verge of losing tiles, actually. This might disappear depending on what next move. So we're going to flip tiles, and just to give you an idea, oh, we can still see. Okay, cool. So we're going to flip up here, and we got our crossroads, really interesting, and back here, another crossroads. So very fortuitous for the scouts. Gene Stealers are going to come in hot. Either way, I need to come in over here and start cutting them off because they're going to start revealing more and more of the terrain. I feel like up here, they're going to be a little hard-pressed, 50-50 chance to get out of that terrain. So I'm going to go over to here, and we're going to come in hot on these two guys who are no negatives, but 4 up to 4 up. So I need a 5 up to kill him, a 4 up to not lose a guy and push him back. Whew, that was bad for business. All right, so we lost the guy, and we're going to push him back. And that's actually really bad because now they can launch an assault. And the same thing is going to happen, 4 versus 4. So I need a 4 to not die. Oh, excuse me, I am -1 because I'm by myself. I need a 5 to just be on par. I got a 3, he is dead. Oh, not looking good here. I got pincered. Ooh, that was brutal. All right, so now it is Space Marine's turn. Nothing's disappearing yet because that happens during the Gene Stealer's turn. So we do want stuff to disappear because if we move away 1 space, both of these guys, then all of this pretty much disappears because then we can only see to here. Oh, we count as being right here because we're always moving 2 spaces, so we can see to here. So literally all of this and all the Gene Stealers go away. But the problem is,
be satisfied with what I have.
Wow, I feel like Siri really should not listen to what I'm saying. All right, well, Siri, thanks for listening in. Over here, they are going to try to make a break for it because they really need to do some work right now, or else they're just going to get last standed by some stuff coming in here. Now, if they split up, they might get got too, but chances are that maybe that was just a random occurrence. So we're going to try to get out. We're out. We got 2 chances to get out with this guy. Oh, he does not make it, and that's really bad. So I feel like right now, bad things are going to happen. He's going to get got, and he's going to get got. But let's just pretend that he made it, and he got out right there. So now it's the Gene Stealer's turn, and now we only count as being here. We can see to here, which we can't see down there. We can't see down here. So all of this would go away, actually, and it becomes a whole new game. So you can kind of see how it's a little bit more fair. I was rolling pretty terribly. I think you can definitely agree. I don't think I got over a 4 at any point right there. So if you're rolling a little bit more average, so to speak, it could go a little bit longer. So now you can see where basically this resets. You got rid of the Gene Stealers on the Gene Stealer turn here. We're gonna reveal. Oof. We're gonna reveal. Wow. Dead end. And over here we curve. That is super saucy. So actually what we can do is, on the Space Marine turn, if they survive, of course, because obviously Gene Stealers are going to come in right here and try to take them out, we could try to go back this way and kill all those tiles and spawn more tiles this way if the Gene Stealers didn't make it. So you can kind of see this game might actually end right here. So Gene Stealer turn, 2 action points, and they don't even have to chase them down. Like the changes we made to movement are doesn't even matter right now because we haven't even had to chase anybody down. It's just been that kind of game. So now they're going to assault. Obviously, we are +1 for the sergeant. We are 4. We are +1. We actually kill 1. Woohoo! We did things. All right, go team. And that's it. We won it. So there's 1 guy left right there. Whew. This is getting pretty hectic. I feel like I'm not going to be able to go back through that tangle wire. So the Space Marine team, that's a dead end. We got to keep pushing. We can't stop now. We've traveled so far. So we are going to blast right here, straight up. We're going to try to do the maximum number possible with one guy, 2 shots, straight up, nothing. It's going to be very difficult to move out of this space. So shooting again, nothing. His 2 shots, nothing. So we're going to go, this is going to be really bad for these guys because now this Gene Stealer is going to become 3 Gene Stealers because you can put 3 to a board. And we are not going to be able to get away. So we took a gamble there trying to hit on 6s, whereas we could maybe get away, force him to move 1, and if he had spawned 1, that actually would have been the smarter play. Because if we had moved back to here, which we can move into the space, now the Gene Stealer player only has 2 action points, right? And with the 2 action points, we would say spawn and then move, and then assault. Whereas right now, hitting on 6s did not pan out for us. And there's going to be 3 Gene Stealers right here. And that probably isn't going to end well, dog. You know what I'm saying? So it's a really interesting game. And, you know, trying to play it yourself and hit all the angles, sometimes it's really hard to come up with all the scenarios. But then when you look at it, you're like, oh, okay, I should have done that. So say we did do that. Okay, cool. So it comes back to here. You at least get another turn out of it, but then you start getting bogged down. So those are the choices you have to make is, do you want to 4, 5, or 6 it with 2 chances, or do you want to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chances to kill 1 Gene Stealer? So on average, I should have killed that Gene Stealer, and then maybe if I had done it early, opened up some more tiles right here and not got assaulted. Because if we got lucky and we got 2 straights, which it wasn't, then we would have been in a non-assaultable position for at least a turn. So there's a lot of scenarios at play right here. But as you can tell, this particular game seemed a lot more even, a lot more closer, at least in my opinion, than the one where we actually played where they get the 3 action points and they can spawn and basically murk you right off the bat, or at least if you're with 2 dudes 66% of the time. Depending on placement, you know, if you can hide the scout or the heavy weapon guy and really have a good placement for the Overwatch, and they have to go at one of the teams, then it becomes a little bit different, especially if they go after the scout, depending on the positioning. So it really comes down to a lot of things. This is a hard game, any way you look at it. I just feel like if you restrict them to 2 action points and a move, 1 space move counts as an action, the game becomes a little bit more fun, and it's still difficult, but you could have maybe a little bit more enjoyment out of it. Now, it's a great game all the way around. I think it's a great value. You get you get a squad of Tyranids, get a squad of Scouts. Obviously, right there, price point is good to go. I'm sure a lot of people will be breaking these apart. You could find, you know, just the tiles and things on eBay or whatever. If you already got the minis all painted up like I happen to have, you know, and just want to play the game. It's a good beer and pretzels game. You just bust it out, play some stuff when you don't have time to play 40K. So I hope you enjoyed my how to play the game kind of walkthrough here for the new Lost Patrol game from Games Workshop. I think it's a hoot. Definitely pick it up and play it. You know, play it both ways. See which one you prefer. But at least this way we have a couple of different options.
Deleted scenes, bonus content, and all the interviews and post-game wrap-up videos can be located in the Hall of Veterans on thelongwar.net. Visit thelongwar.net today and try a week completely free with no strings attached. That's not all. Thelongwar.net is also your hobby resource for exclusive early access with an ad-free experience to all your favorite videos. Members of the Hall of Veterans gain early exclusive access to multiple hobby videos.